back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Laura if this is your first time, and I just talk about books here. Today I am talking about books that I want to read in the month of September. I actually sat down today to talk about all the books I read in August, but I read 17, which I actually think is the same that I read last month, but I was looking at some of them from like the early part of August, and I couldn't even remember what they were about. And I mean, I could kind of remember how I felt, but I didn't feel like I'd be able to make a conducive video because I was gonna have to look up plot summaries because I'm sure that I would have forgotten key plot points. And if I was a better booktuber, I'd probably be willing to do all that work. But I was just like, I don't feel like doing that today. So here we are, and we're gonna talk about books that I wanna read in September instead. So September, I mean, you can see that I am all about the fall. It's September 2nd, and I went for some flannel today. It's actually here in Philly. It is just about, well, it's 82. But earlier when I went out, it was like 72, and it felt incredible. It was like a little bit breezy, and it was just perfect. So, keeping the fall vibes going, and I'm ready. I'm ready for it to be fall and be done with summer. So, we've got lots of spooky stuff on my radar. And again, this is all subject to change because I'm just not super great at the whole like stick to your TBR thing, because I feel like I get new books a lot from publishers. And so I feel like I'll get books that weren't on my radar at all, and I'll just be like, well, I need to read this now, obviously. So who's to say if these will actually get read this month, but this is the plan as of right now on September 2nd. So the first book that I'd really like to read, I already talked about actually, and that is The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I already talked about it, but it is about a girl who finds out about her friend dying from a podcast because they were both escapees from a cult earlier in their lives. And so cult vibes. Who doesn't love that? It sounds awesome. I absolutely love the color of the cover. Like, the colors are just so pretty. But yeah, I already talked about this. I don't feel like going into it too much more, but it sounds so good, and it's still a 5-star prediction for me. I just didn't get around to reading it in August for that video, but still a 5-star prediction there. The next one that I would really like to get to this month is Meet Me by the Fountain by Alexandra Lang. This was kindly sent to me by Bloomsbury Publishing, and it is about the history of the shopping mall. I was a big mall goer in my teen years. I had my first job at American Eagle at the Sarasota Square Mall back home where I'm from. It was just like, the mall was my perfect hangout. I would always meet friends there. We would just go to the movies, they had the food court. I mean, I loved a good mall. And honestly, now living in a city, I kind of miss having malls. So I think this will be really fun. It'll definitely be like nostalgia filled just because of how much it will remind me of my childhood and my teen years. But this seems really interesting. It covers like the history of malls and how they became to all kind of resemble a certain design architecturally, and then how, online retailers kind of made the shopping mall obsolete, and how the country is kind of dealing with these like shells of once was greatness in malls that are just kind of left mostly abandoned now. And that's actually totally how my teenage mall where I used to work and hang out is, for sure. It is just, it's a shell of what it once was. I think it has a movie theater still, but like it's just another mall opened a few miles away, and it's just taken over. So it's kind of sad, but I think it'll be a really interesting read, and I'm so grateful to Bloomsbury for sending it to me. The next book that I really want to read is The Hookup Plan by Farah Rashan. This is the third book in the Boyfriend Project series. I don't know if it's called something else other than that, but here I have the first two. Some of my favorite rom-coms, especially the second one, the Dating Playbook. loved it. I didn't really know anything about it when I got it from Forever, and I loved it. It was such a fun rom-com. So this is a hookup plan. It's about the third girl in their little group. London, she is a pediatric surgeon, and she's trying to find a man, and so she ends up going to her high school reunion and kind of gets together with her former arch nemesis. And yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. I'm excited. I love these girls in this series. They're so much fun to read about, and they're just like, female friendships are so fun, especially when like there's no drama between them. It's all about the relationship, so that's really fun. I just like girlfriends being girlfriends, and I think I'm really gonna enjoy this. The next book is The Sentence by Louise Erdrich. I think I talked about this in another video because I was weird about pronouncing her name, but this seems like the perfect like intro to fall book because it's about a ghost, but I don't think it's about like a scary ghost. So basically it's about this woman who has been released from prison, and she gets a job at a bookstore after she's released, and books kind of like saved her in prison and really helped like rehabilitate her. She's working at this indie bookstore in Minneapolis, and the most annoying customer comes and haunts the bookstore. So it goes from All Souls Day 2019 to All Souls Day 2020. It sounds so good. I've never read anything by this author, but it sounds so good, and just I love the premise of like an annoying ghost. I don't know. It sounds great. So I'm hoping it will be. And also big thanks to Harper Perennial for sending me this copy. It just came out in paperback not too long ago, so definitely excited to check this out. The next book I'm excited to read is The House Party by Rita Cameron. So it looks like a thriller, right? I think the cover is definitely giving thriller vibes, but the synopsis itself does not really seem to be doing the same. It's about a woman who's married, and she and her husband recently just built a house on the Philadelphia main line, which is a series of like wealthy suburbs outside of Philadelphia. And she's had trouble getting pregnant, and she feels like kind of lost, and her marriage seems to be in trouble, but this is like a moment for them to start over, and she's really excited. But a few weeks before they're supposed to move into their new house, some local kids come crash it and have a huge party and just absolutely trash the place. And these are all kids from this super wealthy suburb and aren't used to having to face consequences. So it's kind of, I think, a social commentary with a mystery element maybe, because it also talks about how was there something deeper, darker at play that night. As the police close in a list of suspects, the tight-knit community begins to fray as families attempt to protect themselves. So it does seem like there'll definitely be some good commentary on like wealth and power, and I'm really looking forward to it. It sounds really good, but again, like kind of a misleading cover. I mean, I'll let you know once I actually read it, but just based on the cover, it seems like it would be a thriller, like straight up thriller, but we'll see. Okay, the next book, let me just preface this. I think that all of us elder millennials went through an obsession with the Titanic right around 1997 when the movie came out. And for myself, that obsession continues. I love anything related to the Titanic. I actually love learning about shipwrecks. Even though I worked on a cruise ship for 3 years, I still love learning everything about shipwrecks and things that have gone wrong, and it's just fascinating to me. But especially the Titanic. I've been to the exhibit that tours twice. I have countless books about it, and it's just such an interesting topic to me. So I was thrilled when I found this book, Sinkable, by Daniel Stone. I don't know if it's going to tell me anything I don't already know, but I mean, obsession, the deep sea, and the shipwreck of the Titanic. I'm pumped. Like, even if I already know everything, it's always interesting to read from a different author's sort of style of writing. And I think this is an author that has a really good track record of doing really good nonfiction, explaining things really well. It seems really interesting. Brimming with humor, curiosity, and wit, Sinkable offers up a page-turning work of personal journalism and an immensely entertaining romp through the deep sea and the nature of obsession. If that's not me. So this should be awesome, and I can't wait to tell you about it once I read it. So I'm generally a fiction reader, as you might have guessed, but I do like nonfiction based, Sinkable. And this is another nonfiction book I want to get to this month. It's called Off With Her Head by Eleanor Herman. This is basically about the history of women in power and how they've been demonized since forever. It gives examples in the front dust jacket that says, imagine Donald Trump as a woman called Donna. Would Donna Trump have been seen as blunt, honest, and refreshing? Or would she have been viewed as arrogant, unpresidential, and boastful? Would she have won the election? Imagine Hillary Clinton as a man. Harry Clinton says and does the exact same things as Hillary. Would Harry Clinton have been portrayed in 1,000 images as a witch on a broomstick or called a bitch on countless t-shirts? Would his thoughtful, circumspect answers to media questions have been seen as inauthentic, secretive, and untrustworthy? It just sounds so like the things that I think about all the time. So I really can't wait to read it. Like, even just reading some of the chapter titles sound incredible. For example, why doesn't she do something about her hair? The dangers of female hormones. Her sexual depravity. I just love it. When powerful people are female and black. I just think this is going to be fantastic, and love a good feminist anthem here. So the last book I'm putting on this TBR is one called A Very Typical Family by Sierra Godfrey. This is definitely giving me Black Cake vibes, which, if you didn't read, is about a brother and a sister who are estranged that get together for the reading of their mother's will. And so that's pretty much what this one about too. A girl that's estranged from her older brother and sister. They've been in prison, and she, I guess, is the reason, because of a testimony, I'm assuming. And so she goes to sign some papers, get this done, but ends up reconnecting with her family, and she has to drive across the country. I don't know. I love a good family drama, a family saga, so I think this is going to be one that I really enjoy. It is by Source Books Landmark, which is a publisher that I partner with frequently, and I just tend to love, almost all of their books that I've read. So I'm really looking forward to this one, and I hope that I will enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed their books in the past. So that wraps up books on my TBR for September. I know I'm going to read more than just these. I know that I'm probably not going to read all of these, but I'm here to try, and these are all books that I'm looking forward to reading eventually, even if it doesn't happen in the month of September. But I think I have a good balance of some fiction, some nonfiction, some spooky books, some funny books. I like variety, and I'm very excited to get to all of these. So let me know in the comments if any of these are on your radar, if you've already read any of them, and let's chat. Let's see what we have in common. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.